What's going on, journeyers? Welcome, first timers, and welcome back to the, you know, uh, Thrival Journey. And today with me, I'm very excited because we have a special guest, a what I call a true natural king in the world of wellness, Dan Chapman. He's not only a leading voice for natural remedies, but also the go-to expert when it comes to herbs, if you're from England, or herbs, supplements, and healthy eating. Dan has dedicated his life to creating lasting solutions that help people move from health struggles to thriving living. He's the founder of Redd Remedies and a company that crafts expertly formulated herbal supplements, and the second generation owner of Sunrise Health Foods. So get ready for an inspiring conversation as we dive into the world of natural health and explore how Dan's passion is helping people live healthier lives. And here we go. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic today. So good to be
Good,
here.
good. You know, it's so funny because when we basically matched, I would say
Yeah.
that, and I was, me and my producer Yvonne, we were, doing some research and everything, and I started going back to my childhood, and I was raised by a mom and a grandmother who was very natural in what they took in. My grandmother would always have apple cider vinegar that she would drink,
I
or she
love
would just eat onion raw, which
it.
is
Yeah.
not great. And my mom, my grandma also, they would have these big, big, large jugs of aloe vera. And it wouldn't taste great. But for some reason, I thought, this is something that would make me strong and healthy and, just supernatural for whatever reason. I was
Yep.
thinking that. And, I would drink it. And, but, along the line, when I got older, I didn't, do as much. But it really took me back down memory lane. And I really appreciate that. And because of that, I was like, maybe I need to start, getting back to that healthy life, like,
Yes,
drinking aloe vera and things like that.
sir. Well, I'll tell you what, growing up, we always had apple cider vinegar mixed with honey and water in the refrigerator. And
Mm,
so, I mean, I've been drinking that since I was, can I remember? Oh, man, just my whole life. It's really
yeah,
good.
yeah. And it was such a fantastic memory that I was having. So I understand that, you growing up, you had parents and grandparents, is it grandparents or just parents
My
that
parents.
really, your
Yeah.
grandparents
Yeah.
that started that health thing? Do you like, what was that from? How did they get that started?
Yeah, so my mom and dad opened Sunrise Health Foods in 1961 on the immediate south side of Chicago. And, anybody that opened a health food store in the 60s, you were either in it because you were sick or you were a hippie. There was
Hmm.
no other reason you would open a health food store in the 60s.
Yeah.
For better or worse, it was my mom who was sick. So
Mm,
well before I was born, she was a young lady in her 20s and just really struggling with health as a young lady. And it was a significant journey for her to go from sick to realizing that changing her diet could actually have an impact on the way that she felt. You think about the 1950s. So before she opened that health food stores, when her journey was, nobody looked at their diet to change health in the 50s. So
mm,
it was quite a journey for her. And when she discovered, and in her mind, it was a discovery that when she changes little things about her diet, that it would make a significant change in the way that her body felt. That was new information for her. So I grew up with a mom who was really passionate about food and herbs and nutrition because really it transformed her life. So
yeah.
really grateful to grow up like that.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, especially, well, I was born in the 70s, and um, that wasn't, I mean, from my memory, that wasn't really a big thing, not like it is
Right.
now,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
I mean, I grew up in a family that, um, opposite of the, aloe vera and the tasty
Yeah.
apple cider vinegar, they eat, a lot of fatty foods, and it was not a real known thing in our family.
Yeah.
But there were some things that, that you know, seeped in. So I
Mm.
remember going to like a health food store. I could really still smell going to a health food,
Yeah,
a health food store, and it was a great smell. I
yeah,
loved it. It was all
yeah,
natural, and you could just
yeah.
tell where you were.
Yeah, yeah. Back then, every health food store had a smell. It was typically the bulk herbs that would just like fill the aroma of the air. So
Yeah, that's great. So I mean, being young when you're in your youth, how did that affect you? I mean, were you automatically into the health
yeah,
foods, or
yeah.
were you
I
forced?
gravitated to it. Even when I was young. I mean, I remember being 8, 9 years old and working at the health food store with mom and helping customers find the apple juice and a box of cereal or whatever they were looking for, and then going and bringing them out at the register. And I just loved, was kind of attracted to that idea, even as a young boy, of helping people find the foods that they wanted and hearing their stories of how when they, changed from this bread to this bread, they started to feel better, and just simple things like that. So yeah, I honestly, I've been in it my whole life. And, and it's just been an incredible, like, growing up experience for me. And really quite an honor in my mind to have helped, I mean, literally like tens of thousands of people go from unhealthy to healthy. And that's the thing that's pretty wild, is if you think about all of us, I mean, we're all aspiring to some level of health that's probably just above where we are, right?
Yeah.
No, whether you're really sick and just want to simply feel a little better, or even whether you're an athlete and you're like, I just want one step better than I am. And so that's kind of the journey that I love to help people take, is it's what's that next step or two of feeling better look like for you, and how
Mhm.
do we help you achieve that?
No, that's amazing. I know that you talked about your mom and her struggles. Like, what did that and seeing that really drive you to continue to
Yeah,
be on the journey and then to really create Redd
yeah,
Remedies? I know
yeah,
I'll talk about that more later, but
yeah. So there were three things that I saw. This was true in my mom, and it was true of every other person that I worked with over the years. And I tend to like to simplify things because I think on one hand, health is really complicated, right? Our bodies
Mhm.
are really complex, but at the same time, there are some ways to look at this in a little bit of a simpler light. And so there are three problems that I see that were definitely consistent with my mom, and again, like everybody that I work with. And so the problem essentially is the impact of stress on the body is significant. We can talk about that. I mean, there's nothing in your body that hides from the negative impact of stress. It's pervasive. The second is toxins in our environment, in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the clothes that are on our body, cleaning supplies. There's toxins everywhere, and it has an impact as well. And then you couple that with the fact that our food is not as nutrient dense as it should be, certainly not as nutrient dense as it used to be. And so if you think about those three things in combination, stress, toxins, and lack of nutrients,
Mhm.
like that combination, in many cases, it's the cause of disease. But in every case, at minimum, it amplifies whatever disease it is that you have, whatever symptom it is that you have, or maybe reframe it, whatever it is that's holding you back is amplified because of that combination. And so, if we can help people deal with those three things, no matter what it is that you're struggling with, will get better. Like the amplification will come down. And so that's kind of the starting point that I look at. And again, no matter what health challenge we want to talk about. And so, working on that stress response and the body's function is the first thing that I want to do with individuals, because I'm going to help everybody 100% of the time. So
Yeah.
it's absolutely the place to start.
Well, when I'm listening to you, I'm looking at, my body and what I went through. So let's live as a couple people that we can talk about,
Yeah.
for, practical conversation. For me, um, I'm not was I, growing up, I was an athlete and I had a lot of, kept pretty healthy here. And one of the one things that, that I dealt with later in life is that, and listeners know this, that I've already mentioned that, I lost my kidney. So two of my kidneys, they're atrophied, but I have an extra one. I had a transplant. And not too long ago,
Hmm.
I actually, I was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma, but I'm cleared of the tumor and everything like that. Um, and I find myself still trying to coming back from all of that and still want to live a healthier lifestyle. But it is still a struggle. And I don't mean like,
Yeah.
drinking and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about foods,
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
know. What would you say to me or somebody else that's listening that could be in that kind of situation when it comes to, the stress that comes along with it, the toxins that we deal with,
Yeah.
like cleaning supplies and things
Yeah.
of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you definitely understand very well the impact of stress, right? So, because stress isn't just like, oh, emotions and all of that. Certainly, that's a part of it. But your body is under a unique type of stress because of your kidneys, right?
You're right.
And so your body is going to, I'll say, reprioritize the use of the energy that it has to deal with that weakness. Okay. Now, we all have a weakness, right? We all do,
Mhm.
to different levels. But part of my point in saying it that way is some people have this idea that, oh, my body will just make more energy when I need it. And that's not the way the body works. Your body has 100% of the energy available to it today. And your body is amazing at prioritizing the use of that energy. And so your body is going to spend a little extra energy dealing with your kidneys. And that's just
Mhm.
a fact. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that as much as possible, we're going to nourish and support the kidneys and the other systems involved. Um, and so maybe it'd be helpful if I just talk about three rules real quick. So
Okay.
there's three rules that I believe to be true about the body. And again, so if the problem is stress, toxins, the lack of nutrients, here are the general rules that I believe to be true. First of all, we are body, mind, and spirit. Now, I know you believe this.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
listen to your podcast, right? But
yeah.
it's so important to me to understand, first of all, that that is a fact, which means that I have to pay attention to all three. I cannot
Mhm.
just pay attention to my body, because a healthy body with a weak mind and a weak spirit is still unhealthy. So
Right.
we are one whole person. We need to deal with ourselves as such. The second rule is that our organs and systems work together. And so for you, the kidneys don't work in isolation. And you know that, right? The kidneys are part of the whole system. And when one part of the system or the family is stressed, the whole family's stressed, right?
Right.
And then the third rule, and this one I believe is really important, is that you have the capacity to heal. I've talked to so many people that have been sick for so long that they start to believe that maybe I'm just always going to be this way. And I'm not trying to suggest that your kidneys are going to heal. You have a kidney transplant, if I heard you correctly.
Yeah.
So there are certain facts about you, right? And so I'm not saying we disregard facts, but our bodies have the capacity to heal. Um, every cell in our body has a lifespan, if you think about it, that's much shorter than our collective lifespan.
Yes.
Cells are dying off every day and new cells are being created. And that fact means that we have the ability, with right nutrients, getting rid of the toxins, dealing with stress, to produce healthy cells when they're being recreated. And so we absolutely have the capacity to heal. And it's really important that we believe that we go into it with that mindset that I can get better, I'm going to get better, and I'm going to take the important steps to get me there. So I like to start with that framing. And then the thing that I would do for you and anybody else is I start to work with what can we do to protect your brain and your body from the negative impact of stressors, those things that rob our body of energy. And so every stressor that we encounter will force our body to spend a little bit of its available energy that day to deal with the stressor. And so you think about things that maybe are a little bit common sense. If I have a fever, that is a type of stressor, right? The body temperature is out of balance, the temperature is up, and I'm exhausted. I sleep all day, right? Because my
Mhm.
body is dealing with that stressor. So that's kind of a bigger example, but it's a good example because we've all experienced the fatigue with that.
Yeah.
On that day, our body doesn't just make more energy. It's prioritizing the use of its energy. But it does that in many, many small ways throughout the day that most of us are not even aware of. And an example might be we walk by somebody that has, a perfume on, and it's a chemical perfume, which, by the way, most of them are. And
Hmm.
so those perfumes are synthetic. They're not natural to our body, and it causes a response in the body where your body will have to deal with that. And so I don't recommend, chemical perfumes. Use some wonderful essential oils that are natural and smell great. So little things like that, we can make adjustments. And what that's going to do is it's just going to say, okay, my body doesn't have to deal with that chemical. Maybe same thing with laundry detergent, shampoo and soap and cleaning supplies, and those are things that we can absolutely all deal with. But then we can also deal with similar things in the foods that we're eating. So um, instead of drinking soda that's full of sugar, let's replace
Hmm.
that with some water. And maybe some listeners are like, oh no, don't talk to me about my soda. I don't want to do that.
Right.
But
That's
maybe
a
you
thing.
just take, one little step. So, if you drink 3 cans of soda a day, drink two. I mean, just do something to kind of bring it back a little bit. And maybe the first thing you do when you wake up is drink a glass of water to get that water in. So we've got one healthy thing out of the way, first thing in the morning.
Hmm.
And then we're just paying attention to little steps, because I've also find that, it can be overwhelming to think, oh my goodness, I got to change all of this stuff. Well, no, just do one thing today, or maybe even just one thing this week that is a step towards healthy. And when we start to make those little steps, it's the 1% that compounds, really. Um,
Right.
and we can all handle that little 1%. And then we can definitely talk about some herbs that are really powerful in their ability to help our body, I'd say, modulate stress, or essentially protect you from the negative impact of those stressors.
So this is a lot of habitual things that are occurring for people to really live in a more stressful life.
Yeah.
Um, Now I know you talked about the 1%, like 1% at a time.
Right.
But what about the stingy people that are listening and they're like, I can't do this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I hear it sounds great.
Yeah.
I know it's good for me,
Yeah.
but what may be the thing is that they're addicted to a certain thing or a certain way of being
Yeah.
that keeps them in
Yeah.
that, stressful or stressor kind of life.
I'd probably start with my mind, because until we change our mind, we're not going to change our body, our habits, right?
Right.
And it might be that thing where you get up and you talk to the mirror every day, and I mean, it sounds silly, right? But if I don't love myself, nobody loves me. So
Hmm.
I am healthy and happy. And maybe that's what we say, right? If I wake up and look at myself, comb what hair I got left here in the morning, I'm like, I'm healthy and I'm happy today. And maybe that's how we start our day. And it's nothing more than just that one time, first thing in the morning. And that's my 1%. And I'll tell you what, if you wake up and your perspective every day is I'm healthy and I'm happy, your day will be different. So
Hmm.
that is just as powerful as a food change. I believe it is. I mean, and you're talking to a guy who does make his living selling healthy foods and vitamins. But I'll tell you what, a positive mindset is just as powerful and maybe even more important to get things started.
Yeah, starting off, and I know that for me personally, like starting off with my day being someone that is, happy about the day, ready to, be productive about the day, but really going back to my mindset and saying that this is who I am today. I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm grateful, I'm joyful, I'm fulfilled. And that really leads me down a different path because sometimes I'll look in the freezer and I'm like, oh, maybe I won't grab that, pack of bacon. You know what I mean? I'll
Right,
leave that,
right.
leave that for next time, and I'll get some oatmeal or something. You know what I mean? And it definitely changes, my attitude about how I approach things as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I know that, we talked about the stress toxins and the lack of nutrients. Um, how does Red Remedies really target target those issues for people.
Yep. Yeah. So the way that I start, and I find this really helpful, is we have three primary formulas that I talk to people about, and you don't need all three. You just need one of the three. And these formulas are called True Energy, At Ease, and Enjoy. And True Energy, At Ease, and Enjoy are targeted for three different stress types. And so all of us have stress, right? We all know
Yes,
that.
right.
But you and I can go through the same stress experience, and we can come out at the end of that feeling different, right? Because we're unique individuals. So I find that there are three like basic stress types, and if you can determine your stress type and use the formula that targets that, we're really able to help somebody pretty significantly. So let me tell you what those types are, and it'll start to make sense. So the first stress type is an individual whose stress causes fatigue. And so this person might generally be high energy, like they're always going, they got a lot going on, they're busy. When there's a wall in front of them, they run right through that wall. Like nothing stops them. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter if they're sick, doesn't matter what the trouble or the problem is, they're always going. And that individual at some point is going to crash. They probably already consume a fair amount of coffee or those energy drinks that a lot of people, yes, I'm against energy drinks for everybody listening right now. Stop doing those. There's so much sugar and so much caffeine. But you might be that person doing a lot of those. And so if that's you, your stress type is I just get fatigued, I get tired, I'm always looking for more energy. And True Energy is going to be your formula. The second stress type is that person whose stress really hits them a little more emotionally. So it's going to be nervousness, anxiousness, worry, fear. Their brain is always going to be going. So they might feel like they struggle with ADHD and focus and concentration. Sometimes there's
Okay.
so much going on they can't even make decisions, right? Even right now listening, they're not sure if they're really this stress type or a different stress type because they're processing so much information. So if that's you, At Ease is your formula. And then the third stress type is the person that comes out of that stress and they just feel low, melancholy. I don't really want to put a smile on my face, kind of depressive. Lack of motivation might go here. So, and this is a real thing, right? If you don't have balance with some of the brain chemicals called neurotransmitters, it's a real thing to just say, no, I'm going to sit on the couch today. I don't want to go. And so we need to have that I'll say that motivation in the brain to want to get up and out. And so if that's you, Enjoy is your stress formula. And so what all three of these products have in common are some herbs that are classified as adaptogens. An adaptogen is not a specific herb. It's a small class of elite herbs that are incredible at helping our body deal with chronic stress. And
Hmm.
so we have this foundation of adaptogen herbs in all three of these formulas. And then the uniqueness here is that I need to nourish your body a little bit different if you're the fatigue stress type, the anxious nervous stress type, or the depressive melancholy stress type. So that's really what I'm doing differently is I'm using some herbs that are unique in each one of these to feed and nourish your body, because my belief is that the way that we're going to help you feel better is to nourish your body and support the systems working to restore balance. I do not want to push or stimulate your body. We can do that with herbs. It's also considered natural, but our formulation philosophy is a little bit unique in that we are nourishing and supporting the organs and the systems. And the reason we come up with that philosophy is because we know the rules. And to me, that's why the whole process is so important. I've got to understand the problem. I have to understand the rules of how my body functions. And then I'm going to design a formula that's going to help do exactly that. And so that's what's a bit unique about us at Redd Remedies is I don't sell single herbs or single ingredients. Everything that we do is an expertly crafted natural supplement to help you feel better. I've got a master herbalist on my team. She's worked with me since I've started the company, and a whole host of other professionals, depending on the specific category that we're studying at that time, to design a formula that's going to get the results that we're after. But I
So
start
these are
everybody with the stress type. Everybody gets True Energy, At Ease, or Enjoy. That's the foundation. We can get some early wins and then start to say, okay, what else might you need to work on?
What's up, Thrival Journey listeners and watchers? Look, if you're someone with big dreams of entrepreneurship but need a flexible way to earn income while building your business, let me tell you about the Orions Group. Through our partnership with Arise Virtual Solutions, you can become a customer support professional, aka CSP, and start earning from home on your own terms. Arise offers a streamlined certification process, getting you trained and ready to work with well-known brands all across America. You can set your own hours, choose the clients you want to work with, and create a work-life balance that fits your entrepreneurial goals. The best part, you don't have to choose between your side gig and your business dreams. Being a CSP with the Orions Group means you can bring in extra income while have the flexibility to focus on growing your own venture, much like I did. Whether you're looking to supplement your income or need a bridge while building your empire, this is the opportunity for you. You interested? If so, head over to www.theorionsgroup.com to learn more about becoming a CSP with the Orions Group. Look here. Support your entrepreneurial journey while supporting the Thrival Journey podcast at the same time. All right, one more time, www.theorionsgroup.com. All right, we're done with the spot. Let's get back to the podcast. Do you have the opposite of those people that show up that say, I don't get stressed?
But I used to, but it seems like our great year of 2020 has solved that problem. Nobody seems to argue with me today, but yeah, there were a lot of folks. I'll say, I've been talking about this topic for 20 years. So 10 years ago, I'd get a few people like, oh, I don't experience stress, and then I'd spend half an hour trying to explain it to them, because
Right.
we live in a world that is full of stress, right? And again, I'm not just talking about watching the news. That certainly is stressful. But I'm talking about the toxins is stress. Any little change in our body wants to be in balance or homeostasis, but it doesn't stay there, right? That's, our blood pressure goes up, our blood pressure goes down, and homeostasis is like in the middle, right? Our blood sugar goes up and our blood sugar goes down. Our hormones go up, our hormones go down. So balance is a moment in time, and what we're trying to do throughout the course of the day is just to stay as close to that as we can. But our body is created to go above and below balance, right? And
Yeah.
so that's what we're working to do, is to take as much of the swings out as we can. And by doing that, we essentially preserve the energy now that your body has available. It doesn't have to deal with as many of those stressors. And then what that causes, it just causes me to feel good. I have tons of energy physically and mentally because I have available energy within the body for the body to do what it was created to do in the first place.
And these are basically products that are uniquely made for certain individuals as they come in to show you exactly what's going on with their bodies or talk to you about it.
Yep. Yeah. So, and again, I start everybody with that stress type. And you don't have to spend a half an hour to determine what your stress type is. Literally take like 15 seconds, 30 seconds. And I also recognize that we can all go through each stress type over the course of a day, right? Or maybe even in an hour. We can experience all of those emotions. But if you spend a moment to think about it, you'll realize that one of those three does tend to be dominant. That's like the place where you just tend to land. And when you find that right spot, again, true energy for fatigue, at ease for the kind of the anxious, nervous, and enjoy for that depressive melancholy, you make that your everyday formula. That is one of the most important things that you can do. I think managing that stress response, I will tell you, it is far more important than a multivitamin and an essential fat, a probiotic, and people are using lots of those.
Yeah.
Because if we modulate that stress response, your digestion will get better. Like your pain levels will improve. Your hormones will come back into balance. Like, because stress impacts all of those things. And digestion is maybe one of the biggest ones. I have lots of people that come and talk to me about digestive issues. And the reason is stress has a direct impact on digestion. And so if we work on that stress response, the digestive system just starts to function better again.
And we're talking about these different stressors and, the different issues that come at us that sometimes we don't recognize what those things are. And sometimes we just go through life and there may be like, I don't know, a bump in the road or maybe a wall that we hit, and it's like, what's happening? What are some of the early signs that people can really start to look at where they're now saying, you know, something's going on with my body. I need to really, take care of me? Because there's stories where, it takes a while for people to really get in tune with themselves, and then it's too late, or it could be
Yeah.
almost close to late. What are the
Yeah.
early signs that people can really look at so they can start taking care of themselves better in that sense?
That's a great question. And I would say when it comes to dealing with that stress response, the issues can be so far and wide. And that's why I like to
Mhm.
start there. And so maybe I'll just give a couple of examples that might be helpful for individuals. Um, so if I start by talking about digestion again, real quick, is when you live in chronic stress, your digestive system naturally, by design, reduces the amount of enzymes that are produced in the stomach. So
Mm.
part of the reason that so many people are struggling with, heartburn, acid reflux, GERD, gas, bloating, like indigestion, is because they're under stress every day. And again, our
Okay.
body's natural, it was designed under chronic stress that our enzymes would be reduced. So if we work on that stress response, all of a sudden my stomach starts producing the enzymes that are necessary to digest food the way it was supposed to. So I don't even need to do anything, quote unquote, with digestion. I just work on the stress response first. And so again, for a lot of your listeners that might already be taking a supplement or, some, OTC or something for digestive issues, make sure that you're working on stress, because that probably is either is the core issue or it is a strong contributor to the problem that you're dealing with. And so it'll start to get better. Blood sugar, the same way. Blood sugar under stress, we are not going to process carbohydrates the same way as if we weren't stressed. And so, a simple way to work on that is to make sure that we're not, busy going 100 miles an hour while we're eating food.
Mhm. Right.
Just breathe a minute and take a moment while we eat. Um, Cardiovascular issues are a big one. If you study traditional Chinese medicine, they'll tell you that stress is the cause of all cardiovascular disease. Doesn't matter what you're talking about. And we know
Okay.
that stress impacts blood pressure, right? We can all feel blood pressure go out.
Yeah.
But for individuals with, cholesterol issues, stress, when your body overproduces cortisol, which is one of the hormones produced because of stress, your body will actually produce more cholesterol to counteract the cortisol. So
Really?
if we don't deal with that stress response, our body becomes even more of a cholesterol producing factory. So that's just some of the things to understand. So if you take, a natural supplement or a med to lower your cholesterol and you don't deal with stress, your body's like, oh, no, 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 I needed that cholesterol. I need to now produce more and more and more,
Okay.
because
Okay.
the cholesterol was there to help your body deal with the excess cortisol. So, and I can just keep going. We can talk about hormones. We can talk about simple things like pain. Pain, yes, pain is a response to physical damage to some degree. Maybe you've got a knee or a joint or, a hip or an elbow or something that's bad. But pain is an emotional response. So the pain you experience is going to run through emotions before it decides how bad it hurts. So if we deal with that stress response, the pain levels actually will start to come down. I'm not saying pain will go away, that in no way, right?
Okay.
Especially if you have a bad knee, like your pain's not going away, but you might experience that pain as a 7 or 8, when in reality it might be a 3 or a 4.
So
So
the pain that we're talking about is like, okay, so I hurt my knee,
yeah,
and it may be a pain, but because of the emotional response, we'll elevate the
yep,
the number, so
that's
to
right.
speak.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, a way that we all have experienced that is, you go to the dentist and you can feel the pain when you're in the parking lot, right? You're like,
Right,
it's
right.
going to hurt. And so,
Even
now that's,
before.
yeah, that's right. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, right? But we experience pain emotionally. And so, the other way that we can talk about that is we know that after a longer day, when our body is tired and fatigued, pain levels go up. So if we can build strength in my body has a much better capacity to handle pain. And so that's essentially what, one of the ways that I look at that is we just want to support that body that is under more stress because maybe you do have a bad knee or a bad hip, right? So and again, we can go, I mean, any topic you want to, stress is involved in that issue. Certainly it's involved in the way my brain, thinks and focuses and has concentration, just the way my brain functions in general. Stress has an impact on, allergies and, respiratory function for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we help an individual deal with that stress response, we're literally helping you deal with whatever issue it is that you have to help that thing get a little bit better.
Okay, I understand that.
Yep.
And I know you had mentioned something about the adaptogens,
Yep.
if I say that right,
Yep. You
adaptogens,
got it.
and their ability to help the body manage stress.
Yep.
How do you incorporate those with the formulas? I know we talked a little bit about it, but can you just talk about that more of the
Yep.
resolve of the
You got it.
dealing with stress?
Yeah, so while every adaptogen will help your body deal with chronic stress, each adaptogen has something that it's particularly good at, kind of an expertise. And so in True Energy, I use 2 adaptogens in that formula, and those are rhodiola and Asian ginseng, also known as Panax ginseng. But if I look at Asian ginseng and rhodiola, those adaptogens are incredibly good at helping produce energy, strength, stamina, focus, and clarity. An incredible historical use. I mean, those herbs have been used for thousands of years, but there are also hundreds and hundreds of studies on Asian ginseng and rhodiola showing their ability to help with all kinds of these different health issues that we've talked about, producing energy, strength, stamina, focus, clarity. So that's the foundation that adaptogens that I use in True Energy. And then in At Ease, I use one adaptogen. I'm using one called Schizandra. Schizandra's expertise is emotional stress, or maybe you'd say distress, right? It's the perfect adaptogen for that individual who is really struggling, with nervousness, worry, fear, kind of anxiousness, and that type of feeling. So Schizandra is the adaptogen in At Ease. And then in Joy, I use a combination of 2 adaptogens. I use Schizandra again, because that's the same stuff that we're dealing with when we feel, depressive, melancholy type feelings. But what we add to Schizandra in our In Joy formula is another adaptogen called holy basil. Holy basil is a wonderful adaptogen to build emotional strength, to lift up the spirit. I say, holy basil is like that best friend that comes over when you don't want to go out today. I just don't feel like it and I don't want to go, and they come over and
Yeah.
just get you up off the couch and make you feel a little better about the day. Holy
Okay.
basil kind of has that ability. It's just a wonderful herb. And so we use that with Schizandra in our In Joy formula.
Is it becoming more popular to use the adaptogens, and is it really helping people? So I ask this because I have a producer for the show, the podcast. We had a meeting yesterday. She didn't sleep. We had a meeting this morning, and I was like, "Hey, are you okay?" I was just like, "Oh my God, I didn't sleep." I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ask Dan about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so, first of all, when we work on that stress response, so all 3 of these formulas, while I certainly don't call them sleep formulas, but when you have a better, more balanced day, you're going to have a more restful night. And so I do also have a sleep formula that's called At Ease PM. So similar name to At Ease, that's the daytime version, but especially with that stress type, that individual almost always struggles with sleep as well. And so we have a formula called At Ease PM, and it can be taken by itself for individuals that only struggle with sleep. Although I would argue that if you feel like you only struggle with sleep, it's because you're not paying attention during the day. you also are, you also do have some stress issues during the day. You're just not paying
Yeah,
attention to it till nighttime.
the
Uh,
nighttime. Yeah.
so, um, no matter what your stress type is, in a lot of cases, if you add at ease PM on top of your daytime formula, so you add it to True Energy, at ease, or enjoy, it's just a one capsule product, half hour to an hour before bed is when you would use at ease PM. And what that does is it quiets the mind and the body. Again, if you remember the rules, we are body, mind, spirit, right? And
Mhm.
so we need something that's going to quiet your brain and your body, help you get in that deep sleep and stay there through the night. So you won't wake up feeling, groggy. A lot of people have looked at melatonin, which is, you can find in a health food store or drugstore for that matter. And melatonin does help you sleep. It's a hormone that your body produces when the lights go out, and it kind of sets your body's clock. I do not personally like the use of melatonin because it is, in fact, a hormone. My approach is to give you the building blocks so your body can produce what it needs to on its own. And so there's an amino acid called 5-HTP that is the
Yes.
direct precursor to serotonin. Serotonin is my healthy, happy, brain chemical, if you will, or
Hmm.
neurotransmitter. Serotonin is the direct precursor to melatonin. And so
Okay.
individuals, especially that struggle with anxiousness and depressiveness, both of them are low in serotonin, which is part of the reason they also struggle with sleep. Because if you're low in serotonin, you will be low in melatonin. So by giving 5-HTP, we help you produce the melatonin or serotonin that your brain needs. And then you can also produce the melatonin that you need at nighttime in the right amount that you need. So again, I like giving your body the building blocks to do what I believe it was created to do in the first place, rather than doing it
Right.
for you. Okay.
It's creating that balance is what I'm hearing, is like really creating the balance between day and night. And I know
Right. Right.
that I've taken, yeah, and I know that I've taken melatonin myself,
Mhm.
and I did not like it. I bought 2 bottles as a matter of fact, and I think I still have almost 2 bottles still it's sitting in one of my drawers. So the thing that I was going to ask you about is that, does it make you groggy when you wake up? Because I know when people take
Yep.
sleep medicine,
Yep.
whether it be a chemical or some kind of melatonin or
Yep.
whatever, they for me, I know when I wake up, I'm like, I
Yep.
just don't want to move, and
Yep.
that's counterintuitive to the way I want to
Yep.
have my life function.
That's
And
correct.
so,
And melatonin can do that. And so that's part of the reason that I don't like it. I don't want that effect. But more importantly, if I give you melatonin, your body doesn't need to produce it. And it is in fact a hormone. If I don't know where your level of melatonin is right now, personally, I don't want to give you more. I mean, I would
right,
want to know where your level is if I'm dealing with the hormone, where I know that I can very, very safely give you 5-HTP, and your body will produce serotonin and then produce melatonin. And if you have enough serotonin, that 5-HTP isn't going to like push and push and push. Okay. It's a building block. Your body's going to use that amino acid all kinds of other ways as well. And so it's giving your body the nutrients it needs to do what it was created to do. And that's
yeah,
our formulation philosophy at Redd Remedies. And again, it's part of what makes us, really unique is when we put these products together. I've been doing this my whole life. I could formulate something in 5 minutes on a napkin, but we'll literally spend a year and a half kind of really diving deep on the issue to make sure that we are fully understanding what exactly is happening in the body. Where do I need to help it? Where do I need to support it? And how do I put something together that's going to help you get better rather than to create dependence on something that I created?
nice. That's, well, first of all, I think that she'll be happy to hear this when we go back to look at
Yeah.
everything and do editing. But I think she'll be happy to you know hear that there's some kind of resolution for her,
Absolutely.
so that she can
Absolutely.
sleep at night.
Yep.
And I know that we're talking about like consumer consumption, right? And I know a lot of people, they deal with they want the quick fix. How do you address the consumer expectation around having something around like the quick fix of
Yeah.
taking care of their health, or taking care of their minds, bodies, and spirits?
Yeah. you know, we all want stuff fast. I mean, who doesn't? I do
Right.
too. If I don't feel good, I want to feel better today and right now. But the thing that's really impactful is when you design an herbal formula the way we do, our products work. I still feel like shockingly fast. It's amazing how quickly the body responds when it gets what it needs. And so again, it's the reason we put formulas together the way that we do is True Energy, Addis, and Enjoy work quickly. Probably the slowest one there would be Enjoy. And that's simply because that person that's low or has that depressive feeling, it does take time to kind of build that up in the body and kind of bring you up out of where you're at. And so that individual, I say, is you're going to experience nice, steady progress week by week. But that's going to take a little bit to get you to, I'll say balance, when it comes to your emotions and brain function. True Energy, wow. I mean, most people will take that product and today or tomorrow you're feeling that. Now you're not feeling like shaky, jittery, like you just had a big coffee or an
Okay,
energy
that's
drink.
good.
What your experience is you're going to go through the day and you're like, wow, I feel good today, and you're going to get to 5 o'clock at night and you're going to look back and you're like, wow, I didn't crash this afternoon and I still feel pretty good. It's 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Um,
Hmm.
and Addis also works pretty quickly, especially for that individual who is really experiencing, kind of that physical and mental angst. We can help kind of quiet that feeling pretty quickly in an individual. And then the longer you use those formulas, the more balance it creates in you. I want every day when you wake up to feel like a good day. That's what we're after
Right.
with these products. So it's not just, okay, how do I get through the next 5 hours or 7 hours? That I'm not interested in that. I want every day to wake up being a good day. And when it's time to go to sleep at night, I want my brain to quiet down and let me sleep. So
Yes. Yeah. I used to have a lot of problems going to sleep. I think because the way that I've functioned throughout the day, like when I lay down, my mind, it quiets itself,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and I'm out. But there's a lot of people that, they don't have that because, they deal with the stressors of life and it goes to bed with them. And I remember my mom saying that stress is a silent killer,
right.
you know? So it's like you really want to really take care of what those stresses are in your life so you can
Yeah,
live a more balanced and, healthy
yeah,
lifestyle.
yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's again, you talk about body, mind, spirit. If you're feeling that way, you have to take a couple of minutes and sit with it and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And
Hmm.
we don't, I mean, I've not been great at that. That's like been a discipline of mine. When I have an emotion to say, or something I don't like, or something I'm worried about, or something that I'm fearful about, my natural reaction is just to push through. That's just how I'm built. And that's not good. That's not healthy. And so if I'm not sleeping well at night, or if I've got, whatever issues that somebody's might be struggling with, I found for me it's really, really helpful just to take a moment and to ask myself questions. What am I really feeling? Why am I feeling this way? And to write some of that stuff down. I have found that when I put, pen to paper, it's amazing the things that I discover about myself, that if I
Hmm.
didn't take that discipline to do that, I would just go right past it. And now that becomes a recurrent thing. It's like all of a sudden I'm not sleeping well for a month because I've never taken time to ask myself, why? Why are you feeling
Yeah.
this way? Um, and so, we all deal with stuff. So,
Right.
what am I dealing with? Why am I feeling that way? And is there anything that I can do to change it? I mean, sometimes we're in situations that feel unchangeable, but is there somebody that you can go to and talk it through? And that's the human side of us that I think is so important. We are built for relationships. We are not built to deal with every problem on our own in isolation. We need
Mhm.
friends, right? So reach out to somebody. Somebody around you wants to help.
Yeah. Really look at your life and your situation and just like you said, pause, take a moment, really reflect on who you are in your life and how your life is going. And when things show up that are, seemingly taking you out of balance, check that. Check yourself and ask those questions that, Dan just relayed to us. And, I mean, you're really great in what you're doing in your field. And I love the world of natural medicine and natural herbs and things like that, because I know we get so stuck in the OTC, things and big pharma, dare I say it. And we think that they have all the answers to the aches and the issues that we deal with as human beings. As we leave out, what do you want to say to people that, and I know that you obviously have to consult your physician with anything, but what would you say to those people that are really hell bent on not wanting to do natural things that can really assist and support their lives?
Yeah, well, I've talked to a lot of people that have maybe some level of fear of herbs because maybe they, listen to the news too much or whatever. But understand that herbs have been used safely for thousands of years. Herbal medicine is still primary medicine in almost every other country around the world. It's only here in America that, allopathic or drug medicine, if you will, is primary, and herbs are, they barely secondary. But just understand that herbs have an incredibly high safety profile. They do. Herbs don't hurt people, contrary to what you might hear. And also just know that we're heavily regulated by the FDA. We are under the FDA's authority. And again, sometimes the news makes it sound like, herbs are the Wild West and there are no rules or regulations. That's not true.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And then, we also have what we've designed as our purity promise. That our master herbalist has put together, because we do source herbs from all over the world. We have incredible partners, but then we hold those partners accountable through our purity promise that's managed by a third-party lab. So you can absolutely depend on the formulas that we put together. And I've been doing this for a lifetime. So my goal is to make products that I'm willing to take. True Energy is my stress formula, by the way. That's still my favorite product in our whole line. We've got 30 something herbal formulas, and True Energy is my everyday. I love it.
That's amazing, and I definitely will be checking you out. But how can people get in contact with you? And I will put your information in our descriptions and as well. But can you just share with us how we can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. We've got human beings that answer the phone here at Redd Remedies. It's 888-453-5058. So give our customer care a call. Obviously, you can also go to our website at reddremedies.com. And Redd is REDD, by the way. So reddremedies.com. And reach out to us. We'd be more than happy and just really honored to kind of come alongside you in your health journey.
Well, you have definitely shined some light on some of the issues that I'm dealing with. And also my producer, she'll be happy to, listen to what you had to say. And for people who are listening, what is a quote or a thing that you live by that you could leave with people just for them to ponder on?
Yeah. So, the first thing that comes to my mind right now is the joy of the Lord is my strength. We talked about happy earlier. Happy is like more of an emotion, but joy is foundational. And so I think, in this world, you have to anchor yourself somewhere. So ponder that. Ponder where are you anchored, and where is your source of joy?
I love that. I love the anchoring. It brings, some emotional stability.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Dan, I appreciate you being here, and what you shared was very enlightening. And I wish you could go deeper. I know we have, time limits and everything right now, but I do appreciate you being here, and thank you for being on the Thrival Journey. And for all you listeners and watchers on YouTube, stay tuned for another episode of the Thrival Journey. And if you want to get in touch with us, go ahead and go to the Facebook group, the Thrival Journey. And you can also connect with us on Instagram at the Thrival Journey as well. All right, y'all, take care and have an amazing day.
Yeah. Beat up, fully gone.